My name's Charlie. I work in practice development at Northampton General Hospital. I cover medicine and urgent care at the Trust. I've been qualified as a PNA since May this year, so fairly new to the role still. I became a PNA because in my substantive role, I covered about 21 areas of the Trust. So my exposure to nurses and to healthcare professionals is quite high. I see a lot of staff sort of like day to day, and this opportunity came up. It really gave me an idea to sort of utilise that time more effectively, to be able to help and support our staff that we cover in more detail, utilize those interactions and really make every encounter count, and be able to fully support our staff in more ways than what we were doing already. With my substantive role, it is based a lot on professional development and practice development. So I think a lot of my focus has been around career conversations as part of the AQUIP model, less so on restorative clinical supervision and quality improvement initiatives, but during those career conversations, with being around on the wards through 21 areas of the Trust, my face is well known around the Trust, hopefully for all good reasons. And you do get staff that come up to you and just see you and want to grab you for a little restorative session or some support, signposting, and things like that. So although most of my work with the PNA is around career conversations, I'm always sort of like available for those little corridor conversations and little ad hoc sessions. I've done a few group sessions as well with our preceptorship cohorts, which has been really good insight into that sort of like fresh mind that have just come into the job roles and coming into Northampton General. And it really helps us feed back to the rest of the PNAs as to what is effective, what's working, how to try and establish our roles around the Trust, and to get the understanding of where we are and what we're doing and what we're for out there as well. So that's been really helpful and really boosted sort of like my interpretation and my understanding of where I lie in the PNA role as well. As a Trust, our lead PNA sort of advertises booked sessions for specific wards so that they can come and have a session with us, for smaller teams, or for our bigger areas like the preceptorship program. So we book those sessions in, and any PNA that would be available that day can book on to each session themselves to get some experience and to help those areas. We try and ask PNAs that would have some sort of knowledge about those areas as well, which would be really helpful, so that there's that level of understanding with those that we're having restorative supervision with. My career conversations have been booked in, so people that I worked with on the wards have known that I've become a PNA, know that that's a part of the role, and that I work in practice development. So those two go really well hand in hand. So I've received requests personally from those people, just for a conversation. So I've booked those in, but definitely for me, a lot of the restorative supervision and little QI ideas come completely ad hoc. I'm just grabbed, and just, whilst you're here, can I please just run this by you, which is great because you're never not a nurse, and being a PNA is really now part of me being a nurse. So yeah, I'm more than happy to help where I can, where it's appropriate, obviously. But yeah, you never know when those opportunities are going to come up again. So I like to grab them when I can. I've really enjoyed embedding it in our Trust and trying to get the understanding out there. So since I've qualified as a PNA, I've spoken at conferences, I've done showcases at the Trust, I've spoken to nurses. If there's someone out there that I think would be a brilliant PNA, I would go to them and say, this would be a really good course for you. You'd be perfect at it, because it's sort of, some of the skills that you pick up from it are skills that nurses have already, but some can really utilize it in a multiple sort of lots of different ways. So those sort of like natural PNAs, I try and sort of get on board and pique their interest. I've also spoken at some other different trusts as well. So I went to speak at Peterborough Trust to showcase what we do at Northampton General and to get ideas from other trusts and sharing that around. And I've also two of my own quality improvement projects have been around embedding it in the trust. So showcasing what we can do, how it works, what we're here for, what we're not here for as well, because obviously it's very good to have those boundaries. And also just to sort of show how accessible we are, how many of us that there are, and how simple it is to book on. So I think that's sort of part of it that I really enjoy, just sort of shouting about it and raising the awareness and getting those opportunities out there for the nurses that need them. Yeah, so challenges around the PNA. I know lots of trusts have had the same challenge, but space to have restorative supervision and those career conversations has been difficult, and to get the level of understanding out to all of the members of our staff about what the PNA role is, what we're here for, why we were even introduced in the first place. So that's definitely been a challenge. And that was the way before I even started my course. So whilst I was on my 10-week course, I took to Facebook and Twitter every single week. We have a trust Facebook page, so every week I would post about what we were learning that week, why it was applicable to our trust, what I thought was the highlight of our session, and what I'd learned, what I'd really taken away from that. So I tried to sort of come up with like 3 key points from each session to just sort of post about, and it really helped sort of me sort of debrief and sort of like get those ideas and everything, all that information. It helped me simplify it and understand it better week on week, so that it was a bit sort of more like bite-sized chunks of the course rather than like a huge sort of 10-week project. And it also sort of raised awareness with our staff around Northampton General, looking at what we were doing, creating interest around people that wanted to go for the course next time round. And also it showed some of the differences between each trust. So depending on where you go to do your course depends on what you might learn, your exposure, the different speakers that will come and talk to you, and also the end assessment. So it really got to highlight all those different things. So that's how I try to sort of take on that challenge. Base wise, one of our PNAs in the trust has come up with this brilliant idea. And it was to do a walk and talk. So rather than looking for a space or a room in the trust, where it can be quite intimidating, if you're just in a room with one other person, it can almost feel like an interview, and you don't want that when you're doing restorative supervision. So instead, taking the person outside, walk around the trust grounds, go for a walk in the local park that we're fortunate to have just next door to us. And it just gives you that sort of that real feeling of space and being open and honest with each other, and you're doing an activity whilst you're talking, so it almost doesn't feel so invasive, and so you don't feel so vulnerable talking about any concerns that you may be having. So that's been a brilliant project that one of our PNAs has been doing. I think if someone was interested in becoming a PNA, I think, obviously I'm definitely an advocate for doing it. The skills and the insight that I've learned on my course and since being qualified have been amazing, really transferable, and they've really enhanced skills that I already had as a nurse. So some people may think, a professional nurse advocate, I feel like I do that already, but it really gives you that sort of like foundations behind it, gives you something accredited to showcase that you've proven that you are capable of doing it, and that you're motivated to go out and do that as well. Obviously this course isn't mandatory, It is voluntary, so it you know, it really shows your engagement and your passion and your motivation for trying to make our current nursing situations better and to support our staff in the best way that you can. I've always believed that as a nurse, if there's something that I am legally and physically able to do, I should do it. You know, I feel morally obliged to do it. So that definitely sort of drove me, like, just it drives me even now to try and achieve all I can as a nurse and just help others in any possible way. We're not just here for our patients, we're here for each other as well. I often say that, you know, sometimes your colleagues will notice that something's not quite right with you before your family do. You see your colleagues more in a day than you would your family, so it's really beneficial for everyone, including yourselves, to take up the opportunity to promote and show how much we can support each other by taking up the PNA course. If you're also, I know that some trusts are struggling to get it embedded. Just don't stop talking about it. You know, I'm definitely on Twitter and on Facebook a lot. I look at our futures page, the PNA page on futures. That's a really good insight. There's lots of motivated people on there, lots of inspirational projects and ideas. You can speak to each other as well and see what's working in other areas and what's maybe not so much working for you. But eventually people will cave. You know, you'll be able to just get everything that you want to be able to achieve from a PNA. So yeah, I think definitely continue to talk about it, continue to share everything that you've learned, even if it is just a quick tweet or a Facebook post, just to share it. You might catch someone on a specific day where they feel open and want to do more in their career, want to look down a different avenue or go on to a different course, and you just so happen to put that post out at the right time to capture that interest. And that's an extra person that's out there to support our nurses, which is just brilliant. And then definitely, just from a little personal point of view, get new stationery. Always get new stationery. Get a new notebook, a set of pens, some pencils, color coordinate it. It honestly, as a new set of stationery for me on a new course, just gives me goosebumps. It's just, yeah, a little perk of mine. But if you haven't tried it, try it, honestly.